overwhelmed by this news, humbled by your love and your respect. Finally, I reached 100, the three-digit number. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alamin. This whole time, from number 1 to 100, has been a journey of learning and increasing my knowledge with the company of the Mashayikh. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This reminds me to Abdullah ibn Mas'ud radiallahu anhu, who used to say that if you would like to know how much Quran knowledge I have, if you ask me about every single ayah, one single ayah, I know in the entire Quran about every single ayah, أين نزلت, where it is revealed, وفيما نزلت, and about what it is revealed. So the meaning and interpretation and the background story and everything related to that ayah, I know it. But still, if I know, I am so humble and still ready to learn that if I know, if there is someone else out there who I heard that he knows more Quran than I do, تناله المطي, and it requires me to travel to him, لأتيت, I would have gone there. So this halaqah has been proven a source of knowledge for me personally. It's increased my experience and my passion to continue learning. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward you for that. So on this special occasion, I thought I should bring you a new topic that I presented so many years ago. The issue is that we love our children, and a lot of time we give them allowances like money, idea or whatever money to train them to be independent in spending money to the right cause. And I've been thinking about that. So I did some homework and then I wrote this. It's a research presentation, inshaAllah. Children, they become happy when they possess money, or we give them what we call allowance. Allowance can be in any form, whatever the parents, the mother or father would like to give their children. So we're not talking about number, but at the same time it is extremely necessary that when we give them the money to spend, or like what you call tasarruf, so that they can take their personal decisions of how to, what to do with that money that they have. The only thing is, as parents, we would like them to know what this possession of money means, and what are the wise ways or the nice ways to spend, how it is important. That's the first point. The second reason that's why it's necessary is that we need to teach them, educate them properly, which is ta'lim. Everything requires teaching. Everything requires learning. So we need to tell them about why it is more important, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala repeatedly said in the Quran that mal, which is money and wealth, is fitna. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tests people by giving them money and tests people by taking the money out. So if someone is rich, he is under trial and test from Allah. إنما أموالكم وأولادكم فتنة. And if the sources are restricted, it means someone is poor, and that's also a test. In Surah Al-Talaq, there is ayah, ينفق ذو سعة من سعته, that those who have a lot of money, those who are capable to give, they should give according to their standards. So for example, if he is a rich, he shouldn't be giving like $50 or $100. If he possesses in thousands, then he should give according to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's command, from a standard that suits him. And then subhanallah, he said, if you happen to be poor, then do you think that you don't need to give? No. وَمَنْ قُدِرَ عَلَيْهِ رِزْقُهُ, whoever on him the sources of sustenance is being restricted, and I don't have a lot of money, I'm poor, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, فَلْيُنْفِقْ مِمَّا أَتَاهُ اللَّهِ, let him also spend according to what Allah gave him. So if you got less, give less. But if Allah gave you more, give more. So giving is one of the topic that is constantly talked about by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the Quran. It's called infaq. Infaq fi sabilillah. Yani there are a lot of ayahs that talks about Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu anfiqu, or you believe is spent in the cause of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and for those who have money. So this way we educate our children what money is, who owns money, what's the source of mal, and accordingly we do the tarbiyah for our children. We train them and teach them everything that is necessary, that in case you possess money, your father, your mother, your older siblings, your sheikh, whenever they give you some allowances, they tell you that here is this money, you become the owner of it. So this way they should know how they are going to spend the money, on what objectives they should be receiving it. And the third reason is that this is necessary is that awlad are ni'mah from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Awlad are Allah's blessings. It reminds me that I forgot the name of this Arabi who happened to come to Umar ibn Khattab radiallahu anhu, and he saw دخل عليه I forgot the name. When he entered, he saw Amir al-Mu'minin يقبل صبيانه. He was kissing his children, loving him. فقال يا أمير المؤمنين عندي 10 أولاد ما قبلتهم أبدا. He said, I have 10 children, but I never kissed one of them. So subhanAllah, Amir al-Mu'minin radiallahu anhu gave him a beautiful answer. He did not say why you didn't do that, or what is the reason. He didn't say that. He said, أَوَ أَمْلِكُ إِن نَزَعَ اللَّهُ الرَّحْمَةَ مِنْ قَلْبِكَ. He said, what am I going to do if Allah pulled the rahmah, the mercy, the love for children from your heart? So when we give money to my child, it's also a reason because I love my child. And I give my child money. By doing that, I thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, al-wahib, as I said, wa shakarta al-wahib, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now, just for the sake of interest, Allah has a name called al-mu'ti. This is not a related to topic, but something interesting. So mu'ti means the giver. So Allah is the giver. So mu'ti means that Allah gives in compensation or in return to what a servant does. So he must have done something good. That's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala rewarded him by giving him that. And Allah's second name is Al-Wahib, the one who blesses, the one who gives, and without any demand or request. And amazingly, when Allah discussed about the grant of children, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did not use the word mu'ti or a'ta. He used the word wahaba yahab. Lillahi mulku samawati wal ardi yakhluqu ma yasha. To Allah belongs the domain of the heavens and the earth. Number 2, yakhluqu ma yasha. He creates whatever He wills. Yahabu liman yasha'u dhukur. For some He gives only males, yani boys. وَيَهَبُ لِمَنْ يَشَاءُ إِنَاثًا. And for some He gives only females. So some families we see that they have only boys, and some families they have girls. أو يزوجهم ذكرانا وإناثا. And to some they give both. So if you ask someone, say, how many children you have? He will tell you, I have, alhamdulillah, 2 boys and 3 girls. Or 3 girls and 1 boy, like this. And the 4th category is وَيَجْعَلُ مَنْ يَشَاءُ عَقِيبًا. And to some He makes them barren. He decides, because of the hikmah known to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, not to grant children to. There are a lot of people who they do not have children. So because the children are blessing from Allah, and because we love them and we thank them, so we might like to give them allowances to for them to spend. Now, all this requires some financial literacy. Yani, you need to tell our children that here is your allowance for the month of November, for example. But before Habibi you spend, here is some of what you need to know. So that from the beginning we create awareness in children so that they can take care of the money. They think that this is a ni'mah from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah grants money to those who thank Him, who spend money wisely, who does not waste or does something wrong with the money that they have. This type of educational training about money and other sources from the beginning goes a long way. There is a saying in Arabic, العلم في الصغر كالنقش في الحجر. Teaching, education in childhood. And when we teach children when they are younger, very young siblings, since then we try, it's like carving in the stone. So it's like you're writing in the stone. It goes a long way. Because the children's mind is sharp. They listen and they memorize. They retain the information for a long, long time. So العلم في الصغر كالنقش في الحجر. Now, 2-3 ayat that I would like to quote that our children, they need to know. The first thing and the most important thing is, what is the source of, who's the source of mal? يا أيها الناس أنتم الفقراء إلى الله والله هو الغني الحميد. O you who believe, O people, you are all faqir, poor. Allah is only rich. All the wealth that me and you has, or everyone possesses, belongs to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He gives us money so that we own it. The money belongs to Allah. Allah is the one who grants us money. So, first thing we need to teach our children, the source of money. Money comes from where? Money comes from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah is the one who grants money, makes people rich and or poor. That's the first point. With the money, We may buy rizq, food, sustenance, drink, lunch and dinner and all what we eat. Inna Allah huwa razzaqu zul quwwati al-mateen. Allah is the one who is Razzaq, who provides rizq, sustenance. Everyone needs some type of sustenance to survive. And mashallah, look at us. There are people who are struggling to get food. A lot of people, they sleep hungry. By the end of the day, they do not eat anything. And just like a week or 2 weeks ago, when I said you the story of this governor who was appointed by Umar ibn Khattab, radiallahu anhu, as a governor, and he was the poorest man of the state, that his name was in the list of poor people. Like Abu Hurairah, he was very poor. And amazingly, I read some stories and I understood that being poor, especially those who do not have enough to eat or nothing to eat, is very hard. And us living in this country, we just cannot imagine the horrors of the difficulties or the challenges of being hungry. So our children need to understand, or I should say, we need to tell our children that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala loves us. He gives us abundance of food, plenty of food. We have likes and dislikes and a variety of choices of food, until we reach to a point where we have our own likes and dislikes. I like to eat this, I don't like to eat this, I hate this food, I am not in favor of this. And subhanAllah, we eat like 5 meals a day sometimes. And it goes from the morning. We have the breakfast, then we have a snack, and then we have lunch, and we have snack sometime, and then we have dinner, and even after dinner we eat. And subhanAllah, I was like thinking that once you open the door of your refrigerator, it's full. Subhanallah. But for some, they do not have, sometimes the only bread. I saw a documentary, I don't know from which country. The entire family is eating what? The dry bread. And they're dipping it with water to make it soft. Just the bread and water. Because the bread was old, like maybe prepared like two days ago. So in order to make it softer and so they're able to eat, they were eating it. And Umar ibn Khattab radiallahu anhu, he had a son named Asim. And this Asim, he loved one specific type of food. So he saw him eating that food, and he said, "Ya Asim, what are you eating?" He said, "That I like this food, that's why I'm eating this." He said, "Okay." After a few days, he saw him eating the same food. So he said, "Asim, what are you eating?" Asim said, "I'm eating the same food because I love it." So when he saw him the third time, he called him. He said, "Ya Asim, ikhshawshinu, fa inna al-ni'mata la tadur." He said, "Sometime be rough on you. Remember, the ni'mah, Allah's blessing, does not last longer." So if, for example, I've seen children are getting crazy. And they'll say, I'm going to eat only pizza or burger. What if the pizza is not available? They'll go crazy. So in order to teach balance and to be humble, to thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, so if pizza is not available, and I go like maybe one step more, sometimes the mother had to tell children that today, although we love pizza, but today we're not going to eat pizza, we're going to eat simple bread and like food cooked at home, so that we are becoming used to it. So in case pizza is not available. So this is about the sources of sustenance. The third point, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said something amazing. Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu qulu anfiqu min tayyibati ma kasabtum. Oh, you believe, when you spend, when you give money to someone, from where you give? From the pure halal money that you earn. Now here is, the children need to know what halal is and what haram is. What makes money a halal money and what makes it a haram money. This is one of the areas that we need to. Accordingly, I told this child, I said, did you ever go with your mom to grocery store? He said, yeah, 1,000,000 times. I said, okay. Well, I said, did you see your mom looking at the aisle, what to buy and what to not to buy? He said, yeah, some of the items she does not touch. I said, you know why? He said, yeah, she told me that this is bad, it's haram, we don't eat it. I said, good. So we are pure people. Kulu min tayyibati ma razaqnakum. So we eat only halal sources. So halal, haram also. Now, also the children need to understand the father's role in terms of being the money earner. In some families, both mother and father both work. But primarily, the fathers are the main and the primary source of earning money. So the children need to be told that this father goes every single day because of you and to give you comfort 8 to 10 hours every single day. He goes, struggles and works and earns halal money for you to provide you clothes and food, toys, and whatever you need. So this way, money, subhanallah, and then that's where he gives you not only everything that you need, but still more than that, he also gives you the allowance. So subhanallah, with the money and the allowance, we can also teach children birrul walidain, that we need to be a little bit more kind, respectful, and obedient to our fathers and mothers. Because as a household in charge, the mother is the household in charge at home. And Rasulullah said what? الرجل راع. Yani he told us, me and you we're like shepherd, steward. And we are responsible and accountable. So whatever we do, and if I have children under my care, which every family has, and we should be happy and thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Oh Allah, thank you that you gave me beautiful children. And subhanAllah, one brother was telling me that One time I had to spend alone at my home because my family went back to Pakistan, and it was very hard. After 6, 7, 8, 10 hours, when I used to come back at home, the home was like so quiet because there are no sounds of children. And more than that, one of the brother in one of the masajid, I heard that he came. Probably some children were making noise and some children were annoyed by that. So he came, he said, even if the children are making noise, it is better that they are inside the musalla area. Let them keep coming. So if you kick them out and they won't come just because we are annoyed by their noise, then even if we call them, they won't come. So they shouldn't discontinue coming to masjid, because we want our children to go to masjid. They want our children to meet with the imam in the programs, because the company, the masjid, is also a possible place of tarbiyah similar to that of home. Now, one of the very important area that we need to educate our children is the distribution system, the money distribution system, how money goes around, like a budget. So he can say, well, here is a salary. The salary has this much amount. So he can say, well, do not demand extra because I have expenses. So for example, this much goes to the rent, this much for grocery, this much for supplies, this is for bills. And then we can discuss that with the children so that they can be thankful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That because of the father's efforts, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is blessing us with money after fulfilling all my needs, my education, tuition, my clothes, my shoes, my toys, my fun, and all these nice and yummy food. Still, he's giving me allowance. Whatever allowance he gives me, I have to be content with. I have to be thankful to my dad and thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and then we'll start planning of how I am going to manage my allowance. The fourth point, we need to also teach them important areas of fluctuation in the money. So sometimes we have like a lot of money, so it's okay to give, and it's okay to give more. But sometimes, there are difficulties. And some extra need comes in. Someone gets sick. We have the medicine and the hospital and all these. People go through difficulties. People need some, sometimes extra need comes in. That requires a lot of money to spend. And as a result, at the end of the month, the father and the mother are like their hands are tied. And they will say, well, this month I'm sure, I am sorry I won't be able to give you allowances. Inshallah next month. Because this month we have some extra expenses. So the reason why I add this is because so that my children should understand my situation. And if they get, for example, from January and February, every month I have whatever amount I would like to choose to give it to them. So for example, here comes this 1 month that I have some extra expenses occur and I'm not able to give, so that I can tell them to be patient. Inshallah, next month I will give you more, and then I will compensate for the missing months also. And then also the difference between rich and the poor, and being thankful, the importance of money, and how rich people, you know the 3 types of rich people that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned in the Quran? We need to tell them that those who are rich, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bestows wealth and chooses some people and makes them rich. Makes them rich. Like the story that I shared for Talha ibn Ubaydillah. He's a young Sahabi radiallahu anhu who was rich. Rich like we cannot never imagine his wealth. Like a filthy rich. It is said that he used to do business with other countries. And one time his business yielded from the Prophet from Hadramaut, somewhere in Yemen. So he said when his caravan entered Medina, the total amount of profit that he earned out of that business trip was 750,000 dirham. It's a huge amount. So if you kind of compare 750,000 dirhams from back like 1500 years ago, it's going to be like in billions, or if not in millions. And then guess how and what he did when he received the money. He, like for example, Abdurrahman ibn Auf radiallahu anhu used to say, people in Medina, شركاء لابن عوف في ماله, are equal partners in the wealth of Abdurrahman. And he used to help people a lot. So the poor fellow used to sit in front of this big yard, because whoever comes to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Ya Rasulullah, help me. What do you need? Like rice, food, or camel, or anything else. He goes to Abdurrahman ibn Auf. And the poor fellow was like thinking, he's this rich man. He has some like big office and sitting like with like guards and stuff. And Abdurrahman ibn Auf was like sitting at the door mending his shoe. And he asked, he says, Dullani ala Abdurrahman. He said, he asked someone, he said, can you help me find Abdurrahman? He said, look at this man who is mending the shoe at the door. He said, is he that rich man? I said, yes. He said, Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam sent me to you to help me. He said, what do you need? He said, I need this. He said, go inside and take whatever you want and come back and tell me. So these stories are not fiction. These are real stories from the real people. And everything that they did when they possess money and they become like filthy rich, how their treatment and their relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they not only spend the entire amount on their families only, they considered other people, including sick people, poor people, the masakeen, the widows, the other downtrodden people, the other people who are suffering, also the equal partners. And they said, if you need something, come to me, I'll help you. So this way, and since our children did not see poverty, so they don't know what poverty means. They don't know what happens when I don't have food to eat. Because never ever we spend a time where there's no light at home. Like if you go to India or some other countries, there are times where there is no light, no water. It's still here. I have never seen since I'm here. One day, like for one day even, there is no telephone lines or telephone is not working. So this is something good. This is a blessing from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that Allah sent us to a place where there is continuous supplies of water, light, electricity, everything goes on. Day in and day out, every single day. So this is why, if we thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on these blessings, it will make them the beautiful, thankful people, and the children and the family learns the quality of qana'ah. You know, subhanAllah, there is something called shukr, which is thankfulness, being grateful on the ni'mah. And we need to tell our children that Allah is mun'im. Allah is the giver of ni'mah. And when ni'mah comes in, then I must remember the mun'im. And what should we do? So when Allah gives me something, anything, yani on Eid, my mom made me new clothes, bought me new shoes, which every Eid we do and we wear. So did we thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Because there are a lot of children like me in other places. Their parents are not able to provide them new clothes. They don't have toys. I do. They don't sleep in these nice fancy houses like I do. So sometimes if we have something, we need to educate our children to share some of what we have with those who do not have. Some of the money, for example, some of my toys, for example, So this way, our children, they also need to understand what feelings are. They feel for the poor. There are so many children in so many places who they do not have what our children have, which is very good. Alhamdulillah, we thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I'm not saying that why should we have it, but what I'm saying is that in addition to that, we need to educate our children to start also have a feeling to think about others. Brother Abdul Majid, how many minutes I have?
Well, thankfully the time is up.
Okay, all right. You have to kind of remind me. So anyway, inshallah, next week, inshallah, we're gonna talk about the planning part. So if my dad gives me the allowance, or my mom gives me, there is a way to plan. So inshallah, simple plan I developed to educate the children, that if they have like $100 as an allowance, how should we plan? How should we manage that? So inshallah, we will talk next week, inshallah, and we will learn some more interesting things coming up. So we end here. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك وجزاكم الله خيرا والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.